You look at the defense, they add two safeties, Rayshawn Jenkins and Kazee. What did you think of what they did the last couple of days relative to the safety room for this year's team?
I think they did good getting veteran depth. Ronnie Hickman is a guy that's going to be asked to step up next to Delpit. PFF has him as a breakout candidate, and I can certainly see it. But you get Kazee and you get Rayshawn Jenkins as veterans behind him in case it starts to fall apart or Hickman loses his confidence. The bottom doesn't fall out from underneath this room. And this defense on paper looks very good, from the cornerbacks to now the deep safety to the defensive line, both interior and on the edge. The big concern still being the linebacker spot. Obviously, we saw with JOK's health, him being out for 2025, but that ultimately led to the selection of Carson Schlesinger at 33 overall. I would still like to see one more veteran added just for depth purposes. But I think this defense, top to bottom, front to back, looks pretty stacked on paper.
Yeah, it has the feel of, and it should have had the feel last year, but it has the feel of 2 years ago when they were, among top 10, top 5 in the league.
Absolutely. And not just in the short term, but in the long term too. You have Mason Graham in the middle, and when Mike Hall returns, that's your defensive tackle room. And then obviously you have Schlesinger on the second level. You still have Ward, Emerson, and Newsom at corner. You have Delpit, and if Ronnie Hickman emerges, you've got young pieces all throughout this defense that could really make a play. And like we talked about, there's still some questions offensively. When you have quarterback questions, you're going to have to rely on that defense a little more to keep games from being shootouts and forcing those quarterbacks to try to throw for 300-400 yards. And I think this defense is well up to the challenge, especially with Schwartz still having control of that defense and giving him things. In his defense, he asks his edges to crash around the edge and push everything into the middle, right into the waiting arms of Mason Graham, Malik Collins, and Mike Hall.
Yeah, that's kind of what. There hasn't been a defensive tackle that has really stepped up. Usually, Schwartz has a guy in the middle that puts up big numbers.
Absolutely. I think Mason Graham is going to be that guy for him. Everybody talks about it taking a defensive tackle fifth overall is a bit of a question mark if he's not the Aaron Donald, Chris Jones. But Mason Graham is a perfect fit for Jim Schwartz, and I think that he's going to do everything that Schwartz wants and then some. And it's not going to light up the stat sheet. It's not going to be a sexy pick. That's not what Mason Graham is. But this is going to be a 10-year veteran in the middle of that defense who's going to allow others to create, Miles Garrett, Joe Tryon, Shoyinka, many others to create those sacks and pressures.